Hello out there and good morning, traders. It is March 11th, 2024. Welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. Let's dive into our recap from March 8th, and then we'll update our session plan and levels for today. So I had my DMI out a little early on March 8th because of a news catalyst that was coming in around 8:30. So definitely aware of that, and we were paying attention to the overall contextual landscape in the ES with our analysis. And everything kind of boiled down to one area here, which was our main line in the sand. And our main line in the sand, the idea was that we were going to hold that area and head up with scenario one into our first real target, which was up here, and then a continuation possible target up into that neutral zone. And then from there, it was all about scenario two. If we ended up seeing a breakdown of that line in the sand, first target into here, and then lower target was just down here in the 5100. So that was kind of what we were planning out early in the session, and we could see generally how it played out, right? At 8:30, news catalyst kind of came down, tested our area, shot straight up into our target zone, got some minor inflections and held in that area using the neutral zone as possible bullish scalps there. And then, of course, it comes up through into our main target area. And that was really it for the trade for what I was planning in the DMI along with scenario one. So from there, like that was it. It was pretty much completed as a scenario. And you could take your hands off and kind of watch as things developed overall. We ended up seeing the market sell all the way back down into our line in the sand where we went sideways right at that area without, much from the bulls really. Just continual probes of this zone and then the eventual crack and continuation to the downside here. Not really a chance for us to get short because of the acceptance picture around this area, but as we pulled back up into here, these highs became shortable along with scenario two and the general acceptance picture that we're seeing around this particular zone, but not much coming out of it. It was towards the end of the session, so not really a great opportunity for us to be taking unless you're just scalping, right, coming into the close or something like that. But that was the general landscape of our analysis and how the DMI played out along with the acceptance picture here. Nailed scenario one right up into its stretch target, which doesn't always happen, but nice to see that, closing out a week with scenario one here. And then scenario two took a while to develop all the way into the close pretty much, but, scalp level opportunity due to time factors at the end of the session. So now we're taking a look at the landscape overall here for today. And, well, really, it's kind of an interesting picture because we are seeing, bearishness coming across multiple time frames, but as the bears continue to push lower, they are running into some bullish extremes for us and some bullish conditions that we have to pay attention to on some different time frames. So, first line in the sand is this upper one here. It's a little small, a little bit more precise, but it is our first location to be looking for inflections to the upside. If this particular line in the sand holds, let's just talk scenario one here. If that one holds, we're going to continue up and look for that first neutral target as the first leg of that up move. And then if we get above that, this is the overall destination for the bulls up here. This is the completion of scenario one's idea here. There is a stretch target just a little bit higher up into the 5180s if this market really is bullish. But really, our main target area is up here at the 5152, somewhere in there. Now, if this particular line in the sand breaks down, we don't really have a true scenario two from here. Okay, so we're not really going to trade that. We're going to X that out. It's really going to be more or less as we continue to go lower, our upper time frames become more and more and more in play for the bullish side of things. So there is no real scenario two if this upper line in the sand breaks down. Just treat it as a neutral reference if it breaks down. So scenario one, if it holds up, it remains bullish. If it breaks down, it doesn't go bearish at that point. It'll be neutral. With, I guess you could call a neutral scenario two, where it continues to the downside. It's a very low level shorting opportunity coming into this bullish area here. Once we get down here, this is kind of the main line in the sand overall for the bulls. This is really the spot where things mean something to the bulls from a larger time frame perspective. So if we get down there, it would really be more or less scenario three being a hold up back into this now neutral spot because it would be a breakdown there. And then if we get back up above, we continue along with our general idea with scenario one, right? If scenario four develops, in other words, we see a full breakdown of both of these areas and we start looking to the downside here, it's kind of wide open space from our multiple time frame analysis perspective. It's not wide open space structurally because as we come down into these zones, we have some value that we can test down here. And this would kind of be the main neutral reference. I highlighted it here with white to show you that this is kind of the end of the road for what I would plan to the downside if scenario 4 were to play out. This would kind of be a good spot for a couple of different reasons, mainly, a couple of factors: rhythm, the completion of a move across value, and just generally what we're seeing across multiple time frames here. So that would be the overall destination to the downside for today's session if scenario 4 were to play out. So let's just do a quick review here of everything that I just kind of laid out there, because I know it's a little bit more complicated today. So upper line in the sand here is bullish in nature. Scenario 1, if it holds, continues into these neutral areas, overall destination here. If scenario 2 plays out, everything kind of goes neutral at this level, and it's not really a great opportunity for us to start looking short, because as we continue to move lower, the other time frames become more and more and more in play. Once we get down into this main line in the sand, down into here, if that plays out, we're looking at scenario 3, which would be a hold of that area, coming back up into our first neutral level, and then continuing up from there as we would with scenario 1. And then, of course, scenario 4, full breakdown of everything that we're seeing here from the bulls in terms of lines in the sand and meaningful contextual inflections, would mean that we are now seeing bearish control continuing to the downside, first into that neutral level, then a continuation overall into that lower neutral level at the 5018 area. All right, so that's our full layout for our DMI today. I know that it's kind of a tricky one. It's really just because of the way in which this market has developed. We are trading a particular state, a rotational state on one of our upper time frames, which can make for some difficult situations whenever it comes to precision. And that's really what our main problem is with our situation today. The context is clear. We understand what's happening overall in the ES. And the reality is that this whole area here is generally bullish, but it's a large area to handle. It's a large area to cover. So we've broken that down into different trading ideas at 2 separate locations. And that's kind of the overall, build of what's been happening today with the DMI. All right. So trade well out there, mind your risk and process, and let's have a great trading day.